Hi, I'm Amanda Reimann from ATUNE Health Centres. Just here today to talk to you about 7 herbs that can blow the flu away. Okay, so winter's around the corner and a lot of us are dreading getting another cold and flu, as well as our kids getting sick. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the facts around the flu. So last year Australians suffered the worst influenza season since 2009. This resulted in a lot of people taking time off work and going to hospital, and there was also the higher number of deaths from influenza last year compared with previous years. And unfortunately, the effectiveness of the 2017 vaccine for the influenza A virus was quite low, and this was the most common strain of the flu virus. So even though the flu is not thought to be necessarily really severe or really bad in most people, well, there are some groups of the population that can actually suffer quite badly from the flu, and this includes elderly people, women who are pregnant, those with lowered immunities, and children, of course. So is there anything you can do to help prevent the flu? How can we boost our immune system so that we can at least try to avoid getting a bout of the flu this year? Okay, well yes, let's look at some herbs that have shown to have clinical efficacy in preventing and reducing some of the symptoms associated with the flu. First of all, we'll look at Andrographis. Here we go, this is a liquid herb extract of Andrographis. This is also known as the king of the bitters. It has a very bitter taste. But the reason for these bitter tastes is because it actually has very strong antimicrobial properties, and clinical studies have shown that it can actually reduce the severity of flu symptoms as well as help to improve the immune system. So it can also be used in conjunction with Siberian ginseng. That was another clinical study, and this also showed a reduction in the duration of the disease as well as the severity of the flu. So people recovered a lot quicker when they took both Andrographis and ginseng. Okay, now we'll turn to another herb. This is a herbal constituent called berberine, and berberine is in a number of herbs such as golden seal, philodendron, as well as coptis. It also has a bitter taste, but these bitters in the compound have been shown in mouse studies to reduce their mortality rate, that's their death rate, from 90% to 55%. Wow, that's a big jump. So it also helped to reduce the amount of virus found in the lungs. So it's actually specific for the respiratory tract, for the lungs, as well as having a general systemic antimicrobial, antiviral effect. So very worth while looking at this one. Echinacea, we've all heard of Echinacea, but we have to make sure that when we take Echinacea that we use the right one as well. So it's important to use the root of the Echinacea plant, and it's actually been shown to be more effective when both blends of Purpurea and Angustifolia. So these are 2 different species of Echinacea that have found to work better when used together. So Echinacea, as most of you will know, is helpful for the immune system. It stimulates the immune cells. It can also help to improve the response to the influenza vaccine. And it does this by reducing the amount of respiratory tract infections or symptoms that can be associated with the flu vaccine. Echinacea has also been found to reduce the adhesion of bacteria and to reduce the expression of inflammatory molecules in the body. So it helps to reduce inflammation. Okay, so clinical studies have also shown that Echinacea helps to speed up the recovery from an illness with influenza, and that it's also been used for many years to help prevent things like the common cold and to relieve upper respiratory tract infections. Okay, let's go to our next herb, thyme. We all know thyme. We often use it in cooking. It has a very strong taste as well, but those bitter compounds, again, are really important for its antiseptic properties. Thyme does not only have antiseptic properties, it also supports the immune system. And the great thing about thyme is that it's warming to the body, and it also stimulates the lungs. It can help you to expectorate any mucus that you have from the lungs. And so it's also used as a cough suppressant, so commonly put into cough syrups, for example. Okay, another herb we have here is Elecampane. You may not be familiar with this one, but this has been known to be very useful for respiratory tract infections. And this works on the lower respiratory tract, again to help expectorate any mucus that's in the lungs. So it has been used traditionally for things like bronchitis, cough, hay fever, asthma, and even tuberculosis. Okay, let's go to another one. This is Elderflowers, a very pleasant tasting herb, as you'll be glad to hear, and often used in kids mixes. So it has a sweeter taste. It helps to relieve any nasal secretions and any sinus congestion. It's also used to promote sweating, which is very important when you've got the flu, because when you promote sweating, you actually help to sweat out the virus. And elderflower has actually been used in a clinical trial, and it's also sold under the name Sambucol, and it has been used to inhibit the replication of 10 different viruses. So it really has a good broad spectrum antiviral effect, and it's been used in placebo-controlled double-blinded studies, and they have confirmed that elderflowers has an antiviral property and immune stimulating action. Okay, let's go to next herb, Pelargonium. This is a traditional African herb. It's been used over in Africa to help with the immune system, and it has been also found to have antiviral properties. So it's been used to treat the colds and the flu, and as well as bronchitis in children. So there you have it. I've mentioned 7 herbs that we often use, say 4 or 5 herbs in a mix. Some of them can be used in a tea, or you can put them in a soup that you're making at home. But this is a great way for you to help prevent getting something like the flu this season. Thanks very much for listening. See you.